Vin Diesel quietly entered his restaurant, unnoticed by the bustling crowd. The sound of a server crying caught his attention, halting him in his tracks. Years earlier, he had opened Torque's, an upscale yet approachable dining spot in Los Angeles, California. This wasn't a vanity project or a way to spend excess cash. Vin had poured years into crafting the perfect menu, hiring skilled chefs, and ensuring the restaurant was a space where both locals and Hollywood's elite could enjoy a memorable meal. Yet, Vin understood that success on paper didn't always reflect the reality behind the scenes. The true essence of a business wasn't found in profit margins, but in the quiet moments, the whispers in the break room, the tired sighs of employees after a long shift. That's why, every few months, Vin would visit Torque's incognito, dressed casually, blending in as just another customer. That evening, the restaurant was alive with energy. The Friday dinner rush was in full swing, servers weaving through tables with trays of sizzling steaks and cocktails. The air was rich with the aroma of garlic butter and grilled ribeye, and the warm lighting cast a golden hue over the diners. At first glance, everything appeared perfect. But Vin, with his years of industry experience, new appearances could be deceiving. His eyes landed on the manager, a tall, stern man in a navy blue dress shirt, standing at the edge of the dining area, watching the room like a hawk. There was something unsettling about his presence, not just observant, but controlling. As Vin approached the bar, he heard a faint muffled sound coming from a side hallway near the kitchen. At first, it was barely noticeable, but as he drew closer, it became unmistakable. Someone was crying. Not loudly, but the kind of quiet, restrained sobbing that spoke of desperation. Vin slowed his steps, glancing toward the slightly ajar break room door. Inside, he saw a young woman, her head bowed, gripping the edge of a metal counter as if trying to hold herself together. Another employee, a young man in a Torque's uniform, stood beside her, speaking in hushed, urgent tones. Vin didn't recognize her, but the look on her face struck him deeply. Something was terribly wrong, and he wasn't leaving until he found out what. He took a seat at the bar, his expression calm but his mind racing. The crying wasn't just stress, it was fear. Vin had worked in restaurants before. He knew the challenges of rude customers, long shifts, and aching feet. But this was different. His first instinct was to approach her, but he reminded himself that, for now, he was just another customer. Instead, he listened. The young man beside her, likely a fellow server, spoke in low tones. Vin caught fragments of the conversation. "You can't let him. He doesn't own you." The woman's voice, barely audible, replied, "What choice do I have? He made it clear. If I don't do what he says, I'm gone." Vin's grip tightened around the glass of water the bartender had placed in front of him. Initially, he thought it might be a customer issue, but the way she spoke suggested it was someone within the restaurant. Before he could process further, the bartender approached. "What can I get you?" Vin smiled politely. "Just water for now." His focus, however, remained on the manager in the navy blue shirt, still scanning the room with an air of authority that made others uneasy. Vin noticed the young man from the break room stepping back onto the floor, his jaw tight, hands fidgeting as he adjusted his notepad. Vin saw an opportunity. He stood and casually walked over to the server station where the young man was organizing plates. "Hey, got a pen?" Vin asked, keeping his tone light. The young man, startled, handed one over. Vin glanced at his name tag. Tyler. "Tyler," Vin said softly, "I couldn't help but notice your friend seems upset." Tyler stiffened. "She's fine," he replied too quickly. Vin tilted his head. "She doesn't look fine." Tyler's eyes darted toward the manager before dropping to the floor. After a pause, he admitted, "She's not fine." Vin pressed gently. Is it a customer issue? Tyler hesitated, then muttered, No, it's not. His eyes flicked toward the manager. Vin's gut tightened. This wasn't just a bad work environment. Something deeper was at play. Before he could ask more, the manager approached. Everything okay here? His voice was smooth but firm. Tyler immediately busied himself with the plates. Yes, sir. Just helping a customer. Vin turned to face the manager. Mid-40s, crisp shirt, sharp features. The name tag read Rick Calloway. Can I help you with something? Calloway asked, his tone polite but edged. Vin smiled casually. Just getting a pen. Tyler here was kind enough to help. Calloway clapped Tyler on the shoulder a little too firmly. Good. Let's stay focused on work. Vin stepped away, his mind racing. He needed answers. Stepping outside, he spotted Nate, the bartender, on a break. Vin approached casually. Long night? Nate nodded. Fridays are always nuts. Vin kept his tone light. Your manager, Calloway, what's he like? Nate's expression darkened. He's strict, likes things done a certain way. Vin tilted his head. That normal for managers? Nate glanced around, then lowered his voice. He's not just strict. He makes Emily stay late alone, always talking to her like she owes him something. It's not normal. Vin's stomach turned. This wasn't just a toxic boss. It was something far worse. He thanked Nate and stepped back inside, his resolve firm. He wasn't leaving until he uncovered the truth and put an end to whatever was happening at Torx. Vin placed a firm hand on Nate's shoulder, offering a reassuring nod. You're a good guy, he said. Nate tried to return a smile, but his unease was still evident. Vin turned back toward the restaurant, his gaze locked on the building. Emily was still inside, still at the mercy of Calloway. He had seen this story unfold too many times before. He wasn't about to let it happen again. Hollywood had taught him a thing or two about men like Calloway, men who thrived on power, who manipulated those beneath them, who twisted the rules to maintain their control. He recognized the fear in the employees' eyes, the way they moved like shadows, careful not to disturb their superior. But Emily, she was at the center of it all, and he couldn't leave her there. Without hesitation, Vin pushed open the glass doors and stepped back inside. The evening rush had passed, leaving the restaurant quieter. Fewer customers meant fewer witnesses. But Calloway remained, standing near the server's station, surveying the floor like a king watching over his domain. Vin didn't stop at the bar or hesitate. He walked straight toward Emily. She was speaking to a customer, her words mechanical, her posture rigid. But her eyes, they were hollow. When she saw him approach, her body stiffened as though she expected trouble. Excuse me, Vin said, just loud enough for the customer to hear. I need to speak with you for a moment. Emily blinked, looking momentarily lost. I'm with a customer. The woman she was assisting frowned. She's helping me right now. You can wait. But Vin didn't look away from Emily. It's important. Something in his tone made her swallow hard. She apologized to the customer, then stepped away. Vin noticed Calloway stiffen in the distance, his sharp eyes following them. He didn't like losing control. Emily wrung the edge of her apron between her fingers. What can I help you with? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vin inhaled slowly. I know what's happening, he said, his voice low and steady. You don't have to say anything. I just want you to know you're not alone. For a second, just a second, she looked like she might break. But then she forced a tight smile. I don't know what you mean. Vin didn't let up. Calloway. The way he runs this place. The way he treats you. I know it's not okay. Her fingers curled into fists. Fear. That was what he saw. The belief that she had no way out. I can't, she whispered. You can, Vin said firmly, and you will, because I promise you, he is not untouchable. A shadow loomed beside them. Rick Calloway had arrived. His voice was smooth, but his eyes were cold. Is there a problem here? Vin took his time turning to face him. He had already seen the way Emily shrank at the sound of Calloway's voice. That told him everything he needed to know. Just having a conversation, Vin said, keeping his tone neutral. Calloway's smile was forced. Emily has a job to do. She doesn't have time for private discussions. Vin caught the way Emily flinched at the word private. He squared his shoulders. Actually, Vin said, his voice unwavering, I think we should have a conversation right now. Calloway's smirk faltered. Excuse me? Vin reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He flipped it open, revealing his executive credentials for the restaurant group. The entire room fell silent. Emily gasped. The servers froze. Calloway paled. My name is Vin Diesel, he said, calm but firm. And you and I need to talk. Calloway's mouth opened, then shut. For the first time, he looked nervous. Sir, I didn't realize. No, you didn't, Vin interrupted. And that's the problem. He turned to Emily, his voice softening. You're safe now. Emily's lips parted. A shaky breath escaped. And for the first time that night, her shoulders relaxed. Calloway fumbled for words. I assure you, sir, there's been a misunderstanding. Your office, now. Vin's tone left no room for argument. Calloway swallowed hard. He led the way, his confidence crumbling with every step. Inside the office, Vin planted his hands on the desk. You know what else is unusual? He asked, voice low. A manage.